What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time in Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. We have a great episode planned for you all today. We're going to discuss a lot of the top narratives going on in the NBA, as well as previewing Week 9 of the NFL season. If you want to hear our reactions to the NFL trade deadline, we did talk about that on our Tuesday live stream. You can check that out on RSS as well as on YouTube and our past lives. And if you want to hear about the Stay Hot locks, which we will be discussing on our AMP live this week, make sure you download the AMP app by Amazon and tune in every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing the Week 9 locks as well as discussing some other things in sports, maybe some pop culture stuff as well. But before we get in to all the great stuff today, Matt, Theo, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
I'm good.
I don't know. I don't have much to report. I'm glad my Wi-Fi is back.
I'm glad too.
We are
People
too.
always mention like Matt can consistently have either good video or good audio, but never both.
Well, hopefully it's both today.
Sounds good today.
Sounds great today.
We here in Flagstaff are about to get reportedly 10 inches of snow. 10 and a half inches of snow tomorrow.
That's way too much.
That's a lot of snow, man. Like
That's a lot of snow.
I was not prepared for how much snow this place gets. Apparently, I haven't seen it yet. It's been told to me. It's been reported. It's on the horizon. But Flagstaff, Arizona gets like hundreds of inches of snow a year, and it's not that it never gets that cold here, but it's constantly snowing, I suppose. Which I had no idea. Does it rain
a lot in the summer and?
Yeah, because of the mountain,
Okay.
Something with the mountains and the altitude. It rained a lot when I first moved here in August, and there's just a lot of precipitation with the mountains or something. Something with. I watched a Magic School. I could have told you more about this when I was 6 years old than I can now, because I watched a Magic School Bus episode about this, and they were like, desert happens because mountains trap all the rain on one side of them, and then on the other side of the mountains there's desert or something along those lines. If we have any weather people in the comment section, please explain this to me. But I guess I'm just braced. That's my interesting news. That's what's going on in my life, is I'm bracing for a shit ton of snow, and I'm looking at a bunch of Bradley Chubb, Chase Claypool, Calvin Ridley and film and whatnot for my big YouTube video. So that's what's going on with me.
Well, here in beautiful Oxford, Ohio, we have some light overcast, mid-60s. So what can I say? Got better weather than Flagstaff, Arizona, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I like snow though. I'm fine with a blizzard. I don't have anywhere to be. I'm a podcaster. I gotta stay inside. I can make some.
I gotta walk to class.
Can make some hot chocolate and just look out the window and drink my hot yummy drink. I'm not horrified at this.
I can get down with the hot yummy drink.
You can see the vision.
Snow sucks though, really bad.
Yeah,
it does.
Snow,
it does,
and snow activities are also not good.
I disagree.
Sledding is overrated as hell. Because
sledding is fun.
Sledding is cool if it wasn't cold out, but it's cold out, so it's not that fun.
Put a coat on.
Well, at our old age, like sledding is not like
first off, the age, cool. It's like trick or treating level of you're too old for this. I mean, you can do it if you're like. I felt weird when I was like 16 years old going sledding. Not that I really want to.
I've never been
skiing.
You can't even have like a real snowball fight.
I've never been skiing or snowboarding.
I'm not learning that. Sorry.
You're not. Wait, you guys don't know how to ski and snowboard?
No.
And you're calling winter activities overrated?
I did. Hey, that was Matt, not me. Don't look at me.
Well, like,
do you know how to ski and snowboard?
Yes.
You know how to play hockey?
Yeah. No, I do not
in the NHL farm system.
I don't know how to skate.
I don't know how to skate well enough to play hockey, but like I can get on the ice and like go on.
You know why I don't know how to do these things? Because you can only do them every once in a while at random times because it needs to be snowing and it's cold out. So I don't want to. I'll learn how to do warm things. You can only
ski at random times. All winter you could go skiing.
I'm
Go
not doing
skiing.
that.
You can't call winter activities overrated.
Adult winter activities, and then you have to buy like $4,000 worth of equipment. I'm good, man.
You're 22 years old, being like building snowmen and going sledding is overrated. Like, go do some adult stuff.
Get some fucking whiskey, man. Like,
get some whiskey and go skiing drunk.
Oh my god! All right, go get some whiskey and go skiing. Yeah,
be a real man.
I actually don't know. I've never done that. That sounds unsafe.
All those activities you have to do all this like prep to go do it. No, I'm not doing that. I just want to go do something. If I want to go play basketball, I get a ball and I go to the hoop. If I want to go skiing, I got to get all this equipment and like lug it around. I got to go up the big whatever it is. No.
Are you going to be like this all winter?
Yeah. Every podcast, Matt's going to be like, you know what?
It's 70 out right now. But when it gets cold, yeah, this is how I'm going to be.
That's the worst, I fear. But,
it's
just chronic dighead behavior. But let's hop into the NBA tip of the day, brought to you by our good friends over at AG1. Look, it's no secret. I care about my health, and how else could I, keep up looking like the way that I do, going to basketball class, saucing kids up? Well, let me tell you about a product that I use every single day. I started taking AG1. I just got to look good. I got to stay healthy and got to, hang out with my friends and not be, a blob. I gotta be the GOAT at all times. And it's important to me that I keep my body at peak health. With just one scoop of AG1, you're getting 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day the right way. This delicious blend of ingredients supports gut health, boosts your immune system, nervous system, energy recovery, focus, and even aging. For me, I just throw a scoop in a glass of water before I start my day because I just feel like it gives me the energy boost I need to keep going. And the boost of mental clarity and alertness is really why over 7,000 people have given Athletic Greens a 5-star review. And if you're like me on a college student's budget, you get all of this for less than $3 a day. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/stayhot. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/stayhot to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, I think the obvious NBA tip of the day would be don't tamper, right? The 76ers are getting docked 2 second-round picks for tampering. Now, to be completely fair, they started off 0-3. So, I think a week ago, this would be great to say, but since then, they're 4-1. So can we really say that much?
The punishment for tampering is not enough to stop any team from doing it, even for role players like the 76ers have gotten. My tip of the day would be do tamper. If it's going to be the difference between you getting a great player or not, and they're going to charge you a second-round pick, that's going to be the 45th pick. You can buy that with a cash consideration. Who cares? I'm not sitting here and telling you that I think the 76ers needed to be punished more. I really I'm not particularly moved by that, or by them tampering, but if the NBA actually wants to stop this, they'll eventually have to put their foot down and punish a team so badly that it is a real deterrent to stop you from doing it. If I'm going after a star player, and maybe we'll see with Brunson and the Knicks, maybe the Knicks get fined a first-round pick, but even then they might not care and be like, yeah, we traded first for Brunson. I feel like a lot of these teams are going with the mindset of hey, if we're going to go for it. If it helps us get this great player, we want to do that. And if we get caught and the punishment is just future picks, and it's not even that big picks, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, they got PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is
averaging 70%. He's shooting 70% from the field right now.
This will hold up.
Yeah, you take that.
This will certainly hold up, but he's a good role player. I don't think 2 second-round picks are averaging 70% from the field. No one's wearing a jersey that says 2023 Sixers second-round pick on the back. Who cares? If PJ Tucker is playing well, you know, who cares? And
that's
the Nets care, or not the Nets. Do the 76ers care? No. Do the fans care? No. Does the league really care?
And that's the thing. Nobody really. This is like a bad example of the problem with tampering, because it's like Tucker and House are guys who are good role players, but they really aren't guys you need to tamper for, you would figure. When it comes to a guy like Brunson, where talking to him before you're supposed to, and it's like the Mavs still really wanted him and it came down to the money, that's a little bit more serious, and that's a little bit higher level of a player, and the tampering there seemed to be a little bit more involved. So I think right now I'm okay with what the league did. I feel like that's about fair punishment, whatever. I think everybody will blow this off, even though it kind of sucks for Philadelphia. What they do with the Knicks will be more telling. If they say we're going to take away 2 second-round draft picks from you, New York, then they're not really serious. If they decide to take a first, or I mean, the real solution to this would be if you tamper, you like can't sign the guy you're tampering for, but it's kind of hard to make work logistically because of how fast the investigation would need to get done. So I don't know. We'll see.
They just suspend the player.
I don't know. Wow, that's not a terrible idea. Yeah, you suspend him for like the playoffs of 1 year. That'd be pretty crazy. But I don't know.
But is it the player's fault?
Yeah, is it the player's fault? Like, no,
I don't know.
Stop.
It's not really the player's.
Stop! I'll get suspended.
Yeah, well, the player also, I don't think is just sitting there like, well, I wish the Knicks would have stopped texting me my contract offer, but I had a conversation with them, and over the phone I couldn't help it. It's like, I don't know about that, but yeah, suspending the player would be pretty funny. That would be.
I got sucked into the phone.
Because the teams are just not going to care. It's still in their best interest to tamper. The players, if they got suspended or docked money, then it's not in their best interest to tamper, and then that might stop it. But that's probably extreme. I don't want to sound anti-player.
Yeah, can't sound anti-player on this podcast. We talked about a little bit on the live about Steve Nash, quote unquote, leaving the Nets, but we all
the amicable departure.
He was glad.
We're firing you, Steve.
I was leaving anyway.
I was quitting anyway.
I buy it. I think this is pretty interesting. There's a lot that's going into it right now. I kind of feel bad for Steve Nash, although I also don't think that he's a good coach. I just don't think they listen to Steve Nash that much. And I don't know specifically what he was trying to implement this season, but it seemed like a lot of it was like the Lakers 1 ISO 4 gargoyle type, sets out there where it's like, you got these talented guys in ISO, but they're just not running enough sets. There's just not enough plays for any offense, no matter how talented you are. And you're never going to see, well, not never, but it's rare to see an offense this talented, especially struggle this bad. And then, of course, the defense is a disaster too. And I question how much you blame that on Nash and how much you blame that on the personnel and how much you blame that just on how much the team has bought in. So I think moving on and coming to a new coach, you pretty much can only go up from here. The offense really doesn't look that good, even though they're still scoring pretty well. And the defense looks, I think it's the worst in the league right now if you were to look at defensive ratings. So I don't blame them for moving on.
I think it's bottom 3 in like, yeah, I think it's bottom 3. I don't know if it's dead last, but it's horrible. It's horrible. And you've got you look at the numbers. It's Kyrie and Kevin Durant with a 100% usage rating, shooting about average. And a lot of their shots look sick. But at the end of the day, unless you're shooting like crazy efficient with 2 players with like crazy usage, your offense isn't going to be that good. And I was reminded, Charles Barkley talked a little bit about this, and he talked about the quote that Kevin Durant said that was, we don't need a head coach. we don't need a head coach. It's like, well, you guys balling like it's pickup ball is like not working. It's not working. And it's just it's a mess from a couple of different perspectives. You've got Ben Simmons, who is steadily every single year of his career getting less and less involved with the offense. He's just shrinking every year. It's like a linear. it's like a linear track downwards, how like involved he wants to be in the offense. It is.
And I would say it's not linear at this point. I would say I agree with you. It's like you go look at the stats through his first 4 seasons in Philadelphia, and it's like you can just see it not trending in the right direction. This season, falling off a cliff.
It's bottomed out.
He's just
right.
like,
it's not linear.
It's no, but I agree with the idea, but it's like this season is just a total, like, he is not doing anything. And that's a mix of things. It's a mix of things. Number one, Simmons is hurt right now. He is not, like, go watch him in summer league when he just came into the league and go watch him now. He does not move the same way. These injuries are stacking up. Absolutely. Number two, obviously, is the aggression. And I think a lot of like the lack of aggression comes from not having, or from having, great players around him. It is a lot easier to not be aggressive when you have Kyrie and Kevin Durant on your team. And that's not their fault. That's just the way that it is. And then number three, especially when you're playing this pickup ball stuff, that's not, you got to work Ben Simmons into the offense. And they're just doing nothing to do that. They're doing nothing. Like there's this one play where they're having Ben Simmons bring the ball up the court. And this happens several times. And then he stands there, and it's like, I agree with having Simmons bring the ball up the court, but then you got to run some sort of set. You got to run some sort of action, run a pick and roll, give him something to like try to create an advantage, because otherwise you got the defender standing 10 feet off of him, just waiting for him to do anything, and he's waiting for action. Nothing happens. He passes off to KD. So it's a disaster with him.
It is. It's just the weirdest stat lines ever. Like I've just never. All of his shots come up close. He is shooting 0%. His frequency on long mid-range shots is 0%. His frequency of shots that come from three, 0%. Literally everything is in the paint. He refuses to take any kind of jump shot, and his efficiency is still horrible. He's like, his touch around the rim and his physicality is bad. So he's not even good at the one thing he wants to do. And he's terrified of shooting free throws, I think. Like a part of it, like he'll pass out because yes, there's like KD behind him. Like it makes sense to pass out, but also he might have to go to the line. And I don't think he wants to go to the line at all. I don't think he wants to go to the line at all. I think that he wants to he just wants to throw it off to Kyrie. Did you see the play the other day where Kyrie passed it to Simmons, who had like an open short jump shot, and he yelled at him, "Shoot it, Ben, shoot it, Ben." He yelled, "Shoot it, Ben." It was like the Trey, like the play against the Hawks again, but he didn't shoot it. He passed it back to KD. Now KD did something sick and he scored, but like it's like, man, like I get that you need to make a coaching change, and it's kind of a slimy, gross coaching change to like just hire this guy who has been suspended for sexual misconduct for a year. Like it'd just be like, oh, well, he can play for us. We didn't suspend him. He can play for us. Like that's pretty low. And like, I don't know, man. Like
the Nets just don't care about that. Obviously,
their
owner will come out and be like, "Oh, I just want a team that's fun and good." Like, he needs to shut up now. If this is what we're doing, it's like you are bringing this upon yourself. You are reaping what you sow when you do this. Like, and there's plenty of other good coaches available. It's not like this is the only guy. Although I do think he's probably, in terms of just from a basketball standpoint, the best guy you could go get. But I think it'll be an interesting change.
Yeah, it just is like a morally bankrupt franchise, right? Kyrie is out here in press conferences talking about like anti-Semitic like misinformation. Leonard got like kicked out of the league for like saying a slur playing Call of Duty. Like Kyrie Irving is out here talking about, just like like lies, and like nothing is happening to him. And they're like, I wish you wouldn't, like the owner is like, I wish you wouldn't say that, but you did. So what can you do? It's like, well, you can do something. You can, let a suspended coach say suspended. You can suspend, players for saying bad, like evil, like hateful things about a race of people. Like these are all things that you can do. And like, they just don't do them because they're so desperate for this to work. They're so desperate for this to work. And it's not working. And it won't. It will not work. You don't have the collection of personalities. Look at like the Seattle Seahawks right now. This is a completely different sport and example, but they clearly have like the cast of personalities, and like they have a culture, and they have a cool environment, and they're overperforming. And that's the same with like you could say the Suns, I think, like with Booker and Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges being friends with everybody. Like it works not just because of the talent, not just because you have Chris Paul and you have Devin Booker, like mid-range gods on your team. Like that's not why it works.
You have to be bought in. You have to
it's not like
buy
Chris
into
Paul,
the environment.
Right. It's not like Chris Paul is and Booker are playing like Kyrie Irving and KD and just, running the offense completely through them. And it's not like they want to do that, which is like a different, it's not like they're just massive distractions and getting suspended like left and right. Like it's the talent. It just cannot work with these personalities. If it could work, it would have worked by now, but it's just getting worse and worse. So yeah, blow it up,
Right.
Trade KD to the Suns and like do so, like, I don't know, man. It's one of the biggest messes right now. Like them and the Lakers both. Like I want a documentary about it someday because it just seems like it seemed like just the players. I don't want to say like, oh, player control, like players controlling where they went, like backfired spectacularly. Cause I do like power to the players and I do like the players having control, but it does seem like in the Lakers and Nets situations, it does seem like the players like made a bunch of bets that didn't make a ton of sense from a basketball like perspective. And it did kind of backfire on both coasts, right? Or something. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I mean, the Nets are kind of like, what if we had these super great, shot creating guys and we put nothing else on the team. We had nothing else going for us.
Right. It's happening in two places. It's like stuff we really haven't seen much before. And it's happening in like two places with like the two biggest names of basketball. It's very interesting. So
I think the Lakers are probably closer than the Nets would be my hot take from terms of, well, I don't know if I want to say that. I think the Nets are more talented. I think the Lakers are closer culturally. That's what I'll say.
And they have a defense where it's like, man, if they could shoot, like it could be fine.
It's like the problem with the Lakers is very much like this one thing on the court. And I think that is far more fixable than with the Nets. Yeah. And with the Nets, I mean, if you want to talk a little bit about Udoka and exactly what that's going to look like from an on the court perspective. Part of it's going to be getting the players to buy in. I mean, he's getting a lot of credit for the Celtics defense last year, and rightfully so. However, we're talking about personnel they just don't have like these great perimeter defenders. They just don't. They don't have Marcus Smart. They don't have Jaylen Brown. They don't have Jason Tatum. They don't got those guys. And even if they were, they are not bought into playing defense. They're not bought into doing anything. I understand wanting to change the head coach often changes, how bought in a team is. Like, I don't want to reference my own team, but like the Panthers are at least more bought in now. Those guys are playing a lot harder than they were under Matt Rule. You see it all the time in sports, but if you have Kevin Durant saying we don't need a head coach and like that's the mindset of the team, and we don't know that for sure, that can change. Maybe it's just because they didn't really like or respect Nash, then okay. But if that doesn't change, nothing's going to change. The other stuff has to be, and I would say you're not only seeing like a lack of buying in on defense, but a lack of buying in on offense, because they're just not running a real NBA offense. Going down and being like, I'm the GOAT, I'm going to go score. That's not enough. Right. It doesn't get it done. Didn't get it done with the Lakers last year. It's not getting it done for the Lakers this year. It's not getting it done for the Nets this year. It does not matter how good you are. Ball Don't Stop can say whatever they want about you on Twitter, and they're right for a lot of it. But there's more pieces to the puzzle than that. I think that you're going to have to see just more sets, just more plays, better rotations. And I want to see Ben Simmons get used. This is my prediction of what will happen. I think he's going to get used like Robert Williams offensively, because Robert Williams is this great. Ideally, he would. Now, I don't know where Ben Simmons is, but Robert Williams offensively is like a pretty good passer. He's pretty good interior on the interior scoring. And a lot of times they'll have him take the ball up and then they'll run like a pick and roll, and that'll bring the guy sagging off him way up to try to defend the pick and roll, and they can create an advantage that way. They got to do the same thing with Simmons, because right now just having Simmons bring the ball up the court and being like, he's a great passer, I think he's going to make a good pass now, and everyone just standing there is like, what are you doing? I ultimately think that you would need the Nets.
Watch what he does. Just stand here and watch this guy. Watch this.
And if he would just like take a running start had those guys sagging like 10 feet off of him and just be real confident in himself, honestly, it would probably work out okay. But he doesn't do that. I think that with the Nets, you need the offense to recover to be like an all-time great offense. Because to win a championship, I mean, let's say this defense improves to league average, they'd still be one of the worst defenses ever to win a championship. They just do not have the personnel. And Simmons is like, he's a great defender, but right now, I mean, he's even, hobbled, and one guy is not enough. They just like, I just don't quite see it there for them. I think they will improve a lot, but I think this team is going to need a lot more buy-in. They need to find some personnel they may not have, and I don't know. If you want to hang with like the Bucks, who's got like, you either have to be able to stop Giannis, which no one can, or you have to be able to score with them. And if you're not going to be the best scoring team out there, or like the Hawks, right? The Hawks are a great scoring team, or like the Cavs are putting up some of the best scoring numbers this year. So it's like you have to be able to hang with these teams. It does not matter how talented you are if you have a defense as bad as the Nets is right now. You will not win the championship. You can't get away with it. I think there's probably one. I looked this up some time ago. I think in the last 20 years, there's one team that didn't have a top 10 defense and won the title, and it was the 2016 Cavs. It's just
who did they have? Who was that? Who was that offensive
player? They had someone real good.
They had someone real good to overcome that.
And even they had like, they were a team that also coasted in the regular season because it was the Cavs and LeBron's team, and also they barely won. So it's against the greatest team of all time. So but like I just. And now you're already getting yourself behind, or you're gonna have to play two really tough series before you get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're just in a pit. I think it's even hard to blow it up now because of like Kyrie. Is someone going to trade for Kyrie? No. Someone going to trade for Simmons? Probably not. Kevin Durant.
They want Ayton so bad. Ayton is the piece that they're missing, and they would like to trade away Kevin Durant for him. That is what I hear from my inside sources. Yes. The Suns are like right there again, man. It's going to be so awesome when they like lose in the Western Conference Finals or something this year. But I'm looking at the Lakers right now. I'm looking at the Warriors. I'm looking at like all these teams that were supposed to be great this year that aren't so great. And everyone said that about the Suns because they lost to some Australian team that decided to shoot 70% from three in a preseason game. All right. I need the apology to be as loud as the disrespect was. I'm convinced that the regular season Suns could beat the 36ers. Just need to put that out there.
Theo, how do you... I need to ask how you feel about the Clippers right now. With Kawhi already being hurt this early in the season. Paul George is shooting, 21 points per game?
Oh, their offense is just abysmal. And without Kawhi... The whole key to this, like everything I like about the Sixers is Kawhi is back. That is, right? That's why I think that they are good. And if he's not back, all of a sudden that ruins everything. And if he is on a minutes restriction early, and instead of that, like going away as time goes on, they're like, actually, he's even more hurt now, and he's not making the road trip out. And it's like, man, these injury prone players, sometimes they just stay injury prone.
It's just the way it is in the NBA. You need to be younger than the Clippers are. And this, I think I had the Clippers as one of my like top 4 like teams, like tier 1 teams. But like, I don't want to pick them for the championship because I look at those other 3 teams, the Warriors, the Bucks, and the Celtics, and I'm like, I kind of like their odds to stay healthy a little bit better. And it's like, I think it's a long season. But banking on Kawhi and PG staying healthy, and it's like, if that doesn't happen, we have no title hope. It's tough, man.
Honestly, tough. I think it being a long season hurts you, right? If you're trying to get someone healthy, they need time off. And I mean, sure, it's like you can afford to take some time off in a long season, but like the grind of an 82 game regular season is just hard.
Well, you're setting yourself up. The idea that seeding does not matter is a little bit overblown. Like, dude, being the 6th seed, especially now with the plans, being like the 6th seed is not where you want to be. You do not want to go play the Suns, the Warriors, and then they're like, you don't want to go play all the top tier Western Conference teams back to back to back. You don't want to do that. So, like, for instance, good example, the Suns last year had Devin Booker get banged up. Now, obviously, it didn't ultimately work out for them, but thankfully that was in round 1, and thankfully they were the 1st seed and they survived. If they were the 5 seed, they were the 6th seed, they probably wouldn't have. So the Clippers it's got to be tough. It's like Kawhi just needs to be healthy. He just needs to be.
Yeah, and I do think that things will get better for them. Like their offensive personnel is just too good to be playing like their turnover percentage as a team is like so hilariously high right now. They just like the cohesion is not there. Reggie Jackson and Norman Powell are supposed to have like real juice as scorers. They're shooting horribly right now. They can't score. Paul George is like a below average, efficiency right now in terms of points per shot attempt, which is unusual for him. I have faith that these things will turn around, and like I can still see a world where like a healthy Kawhi, like this, the potential for this team to be really good on both ends of the floor is like still there, but they can't get anything in the paint right now. They don't have like a big that you really like, and without that kind of steady presence inside, it's tough to be a consistent shooting team because you're relying a lot on these jump shots from deep mid range and 3. Like and when you don't have that big man, and right now their shooters are not shooting very well, you get this. And if it wasn't for the Kawhi injury, I would say not worried. Like they'll find their jump shot. They can make a move. They've got a lot of role players. They can make a move for a big man. Like I could still see a vision here, but man, like the Kawhi injury really, really is worrying. The fact that we haven't seen him at all, like in years, really. And for him to he's had all this time to recover, and for him to still not be ready, for him to be getting worse, even like
that's
in terms
what
of
makes
recovery,
you nervous.
It's scary. It's like, well, I can't buy into that. Then the rest I can buy into you turning it around, but that that's terrifies me, and it should have before the season.
They're the only team with less than 100 points per game.
It's not good.
Their offense is horrific right now. It's like I said, hilariously bad.
Paul George leads the team with 4.7 assists.
There are some problems with that team, even outside of Kawhi's health and everyone just being healthy and being a little bit more cohesive. Like the fit between Paul George and Kawhi is not that great. This was a narrative that kind of got killed because Kawhi got hurt and then Paul George played really well and they made the Western Conference Finals, and everyone was like, well, then they'll get Kawhi back and they'll be better. And it's like, right, I agree, but it's still a problem.
Yeah, this team is scary, not in a good way. But if you guys don't have anything else, I think we should move on.
Shout out Cleveland.
Hey,
shout out Cleveland.
I wasn't going to say
Cavaliers.
anything. 5-1.
5-1
Cleveland Cavaliers. The only team better than them right now is there's the
6-1 Suns and the 6-0 Bucks.
Yeah, 6. Okay, yeah, 6-1 as opposed to.
But currently, Cleveland is a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense, and which is, I think, basically what we were saying before the season. It's very easy to see these things coming. I feel like with some of these teams, like
some of them, it is easy, but like.
What's interesting and something I want to dive in more is how they are playing through 2 elite big men in Mobley and Jared Allen versus the Timberwolves, who are hypothetically built in a very similar way, but are seeing none of that success. That's a question that I haven't really answered for myself, Matt. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or Blaiden, I guess, but that's the one thing I'm very interested in is like, why is Cleveland, who is built the same way as Minnesota, so much better than Minnesota? And yeah, that's one thing maybe for a video or that I'll
maybe
make.
The only
that's
thing
not a bad idea.
The only thing
I have not watched a ton of Timberwolves this year, to be completely honest, which I've kind of dropped the ball on, but I can tell you with almost certainty what it is, and it's that they are just not running enough Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert pick and roll. I think that's my guess would be that's what it is, because he had this quote today where he's complaining about like, The paint. Like, he has no dunks. No, Anthony Edwards. He has no dunks this year. Not one. Which is an insane stat considering you'd think he'd at least get one off a fast break or something, but nope, no dunks. And he said, well, the paint's clogged. I can't go jump over all these, super, super tall guys. If there's people there, there's people there. And my guess is that they are just throwing Rudy Gobert in the dunker spot, or when they are running a pick and roll with Gobert, they're doing it with D'Angelo Russell and not Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards has a very well-rounded game, but like ultimately, like you want him to have his greatest strength is like he's beating you off the dribble and attacking the basket.
Right.
And with Gobert, you have to work to make sure that he can still do that. And as of right now, it doesn't sound like that's what they're doing. So that's my guess, but I have not watched enough Timberwolves to tell you that's what it is for sure.
Fair.
That's pretty good.
The other thing I could think
that
of
Edwards
would be
stat
like,
shocks me. I did not know that. That's crazy.
I would also wonder, because like the other thing is like, if you have Gobert on the team on the court at the same time as Karl Anthony Towns has to be like out of the paint. He has to be exclusively on the perimeter, or you have still pretty good shooting on the court, but that doesn't mean the spacing is good, right? So
the only other thing I would be able to think of with that is like the Cavs have had their guys together longer. It's just it could just be like a cohesion thing. Like you're trying things out, you're going to see what works, see what doesn't, and eventually hopefully you figure out like, okay, let's run some pick and rolls with Ant and Gobert.
Well, I could say like they both the Cavs and the Timberwolves basically have their core from last year plus one of the Jazz stars, and that's true for both teams.
Oh yeah, I guess you could say that.
And one of them,
I was just thinking like the
cohesive
big men
right away. The big men are together, yes,
men.
but both of them have tried to incorporate a superstar into their offense from both from the Jazz, and one's done a good job. One does. And it also doesn't help that D'Angelo Russell has not been good to start the season. He's not creating. He's not shooting. He's never been like an elite defender. So it's like, what are you doing if you are not doing any of those things at a high level, which I don't think that he is right now. He needs to play better. So there's that. But like the Cavs don't have they haven't had Garland, so I don't know. That's one thing that I'm interested in.
I would wonder if some of the problem that you could possibly see come up with the Cavs, and this is like a problem that I think is very solvable and more of a short-term thing, is like the time split between Garland and Donovan Mitchell and who does what could get a little complicated. And this injury that he's had where he's not on the court has sort of made it like, well, we're just not seeing that arise yet. Right. It could happen, it could not, but
problem right now.
We'll have to see when Garland comes back if they've really gotten all four of those guys to fit together really well, or if they have some things to work out. And the Timberwolves have things to work out.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
But yeah, shout out the Cavs.
Yeah.
Best team in the NBA, man. No, but
they're up there. They are up there.
If you watch football, you need Fubo TV. Fubo TV gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone, plus games in 4K and no extra charge. Over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. Watch on all your devices and never miss a game or an episode of your favorite shows with the included cloud-based DVR. Plus, there's no contract, no commitment, and you can cancel at any time. Right now, you can try Fubo TV free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/stayhot. That's FUBOTV.com/stayhot.
Moving on to the NFL Game of the Week. We were talking before this. This is like a lot of like you got Eagles, Texans. Like what kind of match?
We say this every week.
I think we do say this every week.
Oh man,
Matt, what's the best college football matchup this week? Then
I haven't even looked at the matchups.
Yeah,
yet.
Exactly.
I don't know. We have Tennessee, Georgia coming up here, I think next week, and that's bigger than any NFL regular season game has ever been. And there's probably multiple types of those games every single year. So,
please stop fighting, guys. Please stop fighting.
Theo, you're gonna get to see Is this the first time the Lions and Packers have played this year? I think so.
It all runs together. I think so. I can't remember. I think that it is. In fact, I'm sure that it is.
Blur. Do you think the Lions come out on top? You've been really down on the Packers as of late.
I've been down on the Packers, but I think they can beat Detroit. like it's not a lock, but look, Detroit's defense is simply no good. It's simply not. And they just lost TJ Hawkinson, which to me is a pretty big loss as someone who could pick up a lot of yards after the catch, who's someone pretty good against, if you were going to go out in man coverage. Like TJ Hawkinson is kind of a matchup nightmare in man coverage. I was kind of a big TJ Hawkinson fan. And without him, Jameson Williams isn't back yet. It all comes down to Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. And with DeAndre Swift healthy, like, we'll see. DeAndre Swift, to me, like, watching the last Lions game, he so routinely just abandons the structure of the play. Oh, I mean, there was a play, I talked about it on TikTok, where they were running GT counter. So the guard and the tackle pull, and they go block the guys on the end. And like you got to pick something out on that side. And literally the play side tackle and guard got a ton of movement on Christian Wilkins. They like moved him out of the play. And then the tackle was able to turn around and block the linebacker. So Christian Wilkins was out of the way. Tackle turned around and blocked the linebacker. There was a big hole. Now there was a problem, and that's that TJ Hawkinson was losing to Jalen Phillips on this play. But I have seen running backs like fit through spaces much narrower than the one that was there for Swift. But Swift like saw that, literally took off and ran the entire length of the field sideways out of bounds for a 0-yard gain. Like, stick to like the Packers rushing defense is not that good. But I know after the game, Dan Campbell said something about like, oh, Swift, he was shying away from contact because he still feels hurt. I'm like, well, that sounds like just a bad running back then. So I think if we can get like that DeAndre Swift, I think like the rushing game is going to be inefficient. If they give him a lot of carries, well, I'm fading DeAndre Swift
if they lean on Jamal,
Jamal Williams
up there in rushing touchdowns this year.
Well, and they've kind of got two different, like wildly different backs. I agree. You know, Swift has been pulling off the big plays. That's kind of where you get. It's like there's a lot of guys who just abandon what they're supposed to be doing entirely, or like the more downhill run idea. And some of them are, and they're either like the worst running backs because they can't get away with it, or they're the best running backs because they can. I think of like Tyreek Hill after the catch. See, one of the only guys in the NFL where he starts running backwards and you're like, yeah, you cook, you got it, big guy. Like
you got it.
He can pull that off. So I wonder if maybe you'll see a lot of Williams then, because he's more of the downhill, get what I'm giving type guy.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll be very interested to see how Swift looks, because he looks so good. Like, he was creating big plays at such a high clip in the first 2 weeks of the season, and then the warts started to come out in the last game. So we'll see what kind of Swift that we get, and the efficiency of their rushing attack. If he looks better or worse as time goes on. But yeah, I don't know. It's without Hawkinson, I think you can play man coverage. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown's a good player, but like outside of that, the receiving core isn't anything too crazy. Like Goff has this reputation of being like, oh, well, he's safe with the football. Like, he may not be super talented, but he's safe with the football. But he's like up there in turnovers every year. So like without Hawkinson, and I think with a running back situation that I raise my eyebrow at a little bit, I do think that the Lions offense isn't like, they can explode for huge amounts of points, but I'm expecting that doesn't happen in this game. And then if we can shut them down a little bit, and make Goff nervous, like, and maybe the running game has a couple negative plays that put them behind script, like I can see the Packers winning this one. Sorry for that DeAndre Swift, like total absolute aside, but that is just how he runs, and it's okay. Kenneth Walker runs like that sometimes a little bit at the NFL level. The thing about him is his broken tackle rate is at like 30% this season, and it's been going. It doesn't matter.
I played last week. Nuts.
Yeah, just like
he's real good.
There is 9 people in the box. There was and that one I don't blame him for, because I don't think there was anything there. Like,
actually, everything on that play is crazy.
I'm just going to start stunting on people.
the DK fake fade and Kenneth Walker breaking like 4 tackles.
Geno Smith had a nice block. Geno Smith, that was a really. It was out of structure, but it was kind of a team effort out of structure. It was like all the skill position players like did it by themselves because the line didn't. All the skill position players were like, "I'll do this myself." Fake fade. Geno throws a block. Kenneth Walker breaks a tackle. Bang. It was
Touchdown.
cool. It was really cool. But
that was a great play.
Anyway, Packers Lions is not my game of the week here.
I just wanted to ask you if you thought you'd get a dub this week.
I've talked a long time. You guys talk about your game of the week because
we've got a game of the week, a game we're going to.
Have we bought those tickets? Matt?
I'll get them after this. We're going.
All right.
Bengals,
Panthers in
yes,
Cincinnati.
once every 4 years, the Carolina Panthers make a journey to Ohio. Half the time in
like
Cleveland. They play in Cincinnati once every 8 years. It's like a solar eclipse or something. And they're doing it this week, and we're going. I think it'll be a good game. All things considered, is it my game of the week? It'll be interesting to see if Burrow can expose a Panther secondary that has been playing a little bit questionably, that has a couple of guys that are outside of JC Horn. It's pretty bad, but I'm excited to go to that one.
Without Jamar Chase, it'll definitely be.
That's the thing. If they had Jamar, I think they'd have no hope. I mean, he just threw for 1,000,000 yards on Atlanta, and then we lost to Atlanta. So and then it's on the road. This may be damning.
The Bengals offense did not look good against the Browns.
No, it did not. And it'll be interesting when you're at the stadium and you get the all-22 view to see what the strategies are. Like, is it single high? Is it what the Dolphins were doing? Because to me, if you're playing the Bengals now, you man them up. And you double team T. Higgins, and you make Tyler Boyd beat you, and you make Michael Thomas beat you. So, it'll be interesting to see if the Panthers deploy that strategy. It's a strategy that they are not shy with doing. Who did they play a couple weeks ago? 2 weeks ago in their win. They played Tampa. They played a lot of man coverage in that game, even though Mike Evans was there. Even though Chris Godwin was there, they were like, "You guys are old, and Godwin, you're always hurt. Come beat us in man." So I'll be interested to see if, all of a sudden, this Bengals wide receiving core with Chase goes from when it's do not man these guys up, do not do it, because you need a double team safety, and then Boyd and Higgins can win their 1-on-1s, and Chase can still win a 2-on-1. But now without Chase, it's no matter who they're playing. I think that is a very interesting offense to watch because of, just how much hype Burrow has gotten and how Chase is the real reason why that offense is so explosive. And that is my working assumption. And we'll see if Burrow can ever prove that wrong and be explosive without Chase. But I personally have my doubts. And I
would also look for the Bengals. I would like the Bengals to be able to run the ball a little bit better. I would like to see Joe Mixon have a larger volume set because they do not give him the football.
Well,
I mean, he's been inefficient this year. Don't get me wrong, the run blocking hasn't been great. The run game has just not been there. But I want to see them figure that out because and it's mostly probably just a lack of creativity in their running game. But man.
He's averaging 3.3 yards a carry.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's not good. Their offensive line, not good, man. And this would be funny. It's if their offense puts up this historical game, Jamar Chase goes out and they can't run or pass and do nothing, and they keep losing. I'd give Pro Football Focus a lot of credit for their value of wide receiver.
Yeah.
Narrative. The other receiver that I'm really looking for is Terrence Marshall Jr. He had a very good game last week, and I'm suspicious of it because it was against maybe not the best secondary in the world that had both of its starting corners out. But if he plays well again, you have to question, what was Matt Rule doing? Why was he keeping him out? He may be the most picking favorites coach ever because he would just sign all of his, we've talked about it, he'd sign all of his Baylor guys. So I'm kind of interested to see, is this guy actually just a really good receiver who we just decided not to play in favor of Shi Smith.
I mean, he'll likely have another good matchup. Awuzie is out for the year.
Yes, the Bengals, Awuzie being out for the year is so huge. I mean, since joining the Bengals, he had been playing at the very least a Pro Bowl level, if not like second team All Pro. Like he had been one of the top corners in the league, except for when AJ Brown like beat his ass in that playoff game. Outside of that, like he has been incredible. He has been a legit number one that you trust on top guys. Now you're talking about Dax Hill, who today said, I haven't played outside corner since I was in high school, but I'd be willing to give it a shot. Oh. You got people saying things. You got rookies saying things like that. All of a sudden, it's Eli Apple. Go ahead and guard. Like, can you play on the outside now, Eli Apple? Like, can you play on the outside now, Daxton Hill?
One-on-one with DJ Moore. Like,
and this is the thing about the Bengals last year, man, and something that why I predicted them to go 9-8 this year is they got really lucky with their injuries last year. Everyone was healthy. Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Awuzie. Like, there were some injuries on the offensive line, no doubt. Logan Wilson got hurt, no doubt. But like a lot of their key pieces stayed healthy, and that just doesn't happen every year. Like this year, this Bengals team, do they have enough juice in the coaching staff, in other parts of their like in their depth to overcome like big injuries? Like no team really does, but like, I don't know. They're getting hit with a pretty big injury bug right now, and it's going to take a real like a Hercules type of effort from Burrow. It's gonna take like a Justin Herbert-esque effort from Joe Burrow.
But he doesn't win. He doesn't Herbert's pull not off a winner. The clutch moments he needs to.
Yes.
I mean, the Bengals kind
no
of
one watched the fourth downs from week 18 last year against the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders. Do not watch those.
Gosh, did they win that game?
No, they didn't. Because Herbert converted too many fourth downs. They should have punted and given their defense better field position or something. I have no idea.
Right, exactly.
No, he's going to have to put the team on the back and really carry without Chase and Awuzie and like the defense and the offensive line being like the tackles forgetting how to play tackle. I do not understand. Lyle Collins has been a good tackle in the past. Jonah Williams has been a good tackle in the past. And now they're just like at the top of the league in like sacks allowed. They suck. I don't understand. So I'm getting ready to say it. It may not be the Bengals' year, and I don't know if them playing the Panthers is game of the week, but
well, what is game of the week? Look at this schedule, man. List the good games.
Okay, Chargers, Falcons. Chargers, Falcons.
Yeah, that's kind of a good one. God bless.
It's kind of a good one. I don't know. It's two teams that like the Chargers. For as much as the Justin Herbert is not a winner narrative is going around, they do have a winning record. The Chargers do have a winning record.
In spite of Herbert, yes.
In spite of Herbert and his fraudulence. That's the... And it could be a lot more interesting if both of these teams are at full strength. But yeah, I don't know. Falcons getting another game. Like, I always think the Falcons are not quite appointment viewing, but I do think that they are a fun team to watch because of what they do in the running game. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Pitts got a little bit more involved in the last game. And if you can keep watching, like, will that build on top of each other? I kind of think it won't. I kind of think they like sprinkle in the occasional like Kyle Pitts targets to like set up the decoys later or something. But it'll be interesting to see if he can keep up a relative hot streak here.
Are we going to get another Demir Bird masterclass? That's the real question.
Well, are Terrell and Hayward going to be out again?
Ooh, I'm not sure.
If the answer is yes, then it's like this is actually a Herbert legacy game where he must put Hayward's up 500 passing yards or he is not good.
Hayward's on IR. Terrell is questionable.
Okay, but it is a game. It is a game between two potential playoff teams, and it could be a fair matchup with the blown up secondary of the Falcons versus the horrible wide receiving core of the Chargers, right. And who will win this battle of like completely beat up squads and units? That might be a thing. And we've seen the Chargers struggle to defend the run, and the Falcons have a very good rushing attack. We might see Cordero Patterson back. So that's something to watch out for is Patterson and this Falcons run game potentially exposing the Chargers front seven. And we're going to see Herbert try to get it. I'm curious to see if Herbert can still play like a decent game with like no one at wide receiver. And I'll say it now.
Keenan's questionable. Jalen Guyton IR. Mike Williams out. Wide receiver 1. We could be looking at Josh Palmer and DeAndre Carter as like your top 2 receivers this week.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see if like even against a bad secondary, like what this offense looks like. If Herbert, I think that Herbert is going to beat the can't check it down allegations levied by some in the media. I think that we're going to see a lot of them this week. And let's force the Falcons to tackle Austin Eckler. I think that is going to be the entire offense this week, which is not, I'm not making it sound like game of the week here, but it is a game between 2 potential playoff teams. So we got to talk about it.
Is this the Super Bowl preview?
It's going to be like, it's just going to be Arthur Smith cooking up the most insane run looks versus this front versus Justin Herbert checking it down to Austin Eckler and Eckler making guys in space. That's going to be this game, in my opinion. So bet your Eckler overs on everything.
It's going to be Sony Michel making guys miss.
Ah, yes. Sony Michel is going to be the one.
Sony Michel.
That's what they pay him for.
I don't know what game of the week would be. I am excited for Roquan, to see Roquan on Monday night.
Is he going to play?
That's a good question. Will he play?
This is the thing. These would be all my things to watch for, but I don't think any of those guys are actually going to play yet.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't know.
And
well, we might see a little bit of who the Bears play? Miami. Will we see Claypool? We might see a little bit of Claypool.
I think we will see Claypool.
Really?
I do think that we will see Claypool. Yeah. I do.
Because you can just in the huddle just tell him what route to run.
Well, it just goes. It's Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool doesn't know what route he's running.
No, they had him run like a whip route one time, didn't they? Or so, like
I don't know. Chase Claypool's like awareness on the field leaves a lot to be desired. So, how bad could it get if he doesn't quite know the playbook? Just tell him to run a bunch of goes and have Fields throw those deep balls to him. I think we're going to see that from Claypool. Yeah. And I don't know if it's something I'm necessarily dying to see. I'm excited to see maybe how bad the Bears defense looks and how bad their pass rush looks without Robert Quinn. That could be an interesting question. And without Roquan Smith either, like just how severe is this tank on the defensive side of the ball is something I might be morbidly curious to see, as I'm sure Tua will put up another masterclass game and the MVP chance will spread. But yeah,
you know what the game of the week might be? Seattle and Arizona.
No.
You don't think so?
No game involving the Arizona Cardinals is game of the week.
You don't want to see Hopkins and Tariq Woolen going at it. You don't want to see Kyler versus Geno Smith.
No, I don't want to see that. Chiefs versus Titans is probably game of the week. The Titans have had their number recently, I think. I know that early last season, the Chiefs had like no offensive output versus the Titans. And that was really when the Mahomes can't be too high narratives really started and Derrick Henry ran all over their defense. So now they're playing again. What adjustments has Andy Reid made? What is the game plan going to look like? And yeah, I think how much has the defense improved? I guess how much has the run defense improved with coaching or whatever changes they've made? They haven't made a ton of changes to the front seven really outside of George Karlaftis, but this has been a game that the Titans have been competitive in the past. They are 5-2 now? Are they on a 5-game winning streak?
The Chiefs or the Titans?
Titans. I think they may be.
Yeah, they're 5-2. So
yeah.
That's a game that I think, and we'll see. I hope we don't have Malik Willis. I believe that we don't. I certainly hope we don't. I never want to see him.
Tannehill is out. I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, that was updated on the 28th though. Hold on, let me.
Tannehill's not good.
It's uncertain. It's uncertain. It's questionable. So that could definitely. I want it to be Tannehill as much as people like hype up rookies. Malik Willis, he ain't got it right now. Okay, he's a big project.
They do not trust him at all.
All right, so it's boring. It's boring. Like people think that it'll be exciting because he's young, but it would be extremely boring if Malik Willis is out there. But yeah, I guess I'm interested to see that Sunday. I think that's a pretty good Sunday night game.
That's not a bad game for sure. The only thing I do worry about is like the Titans defense has not quite been up to the level that it was last year.
Their linebackers have not been super duper sharp, I think, in coverage this season. And that's with Kelsey. I think that could be something that maybe we'll see if Byard just tries to beat, like they roll a safety down over him and just try to like press him and try to like the Derwin James method.
You're not worried about Tyreek Hill anymore burning you over the top.
The Chargers just roll like Derwin James over Hill and or Kelsey and just like literally like assault him and test if the refs will call it. And hypothetically, I know that they don't quite have a physical specimen like Derwin James, but they do have two very good safeties. So I'm wondering.
Byard's really good.
Like, he's really good. He's not like built like Derwin James though, but I will be interested to see how they deal with Kelsey because teams with great safeties and testing the referees, that's I think the best recipe. But it doesn't work a lot of the time because a lot of people don't have Derwin James, but the Titans have someone who's somewhat close. So that's something to watch out for, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's really good. Hooker's good too. Amani Hooker's. So they have guys, but man, their pass defense has been one of the worst in the league this year. 24th in yards, 29th in they've allowed 14 passing touchdowns this year. It's not been great.
It's not great.
Not great at all. But yeah, well, Chiefs, Titans. I don't hate that. I still like Seattle, Arizona, even though Theo hates it.
Well, you just like the Seahawks.
I do like the Seahawks. They're fun. Tariq Woolen's going to be. I do think that'll be a good matchup. Tariq Woolen and
he's tall enough. He's tall enough.
I mean, D-Hop plays like he's 6'4", even though he's 6'1".
Yeah. I don't even think he is 6'1". I think he's below that. It was really jarring during his one-handed touchdown on. It's always jarring. He had that really tight coverage on Harrison Smith, and just to see Harrison Smith is like bigger than him by like a bit, maybe not a bit, but he is a bit bigger. And then you see like Hopkins catch that and turn around, and it's like, you are not that much bigger than Jahan Dotson. That is weird. You're like an inch taller than Jahan Dotson. That's
him. It's the Jamar Chase thing too. I watched Jamar Chase and I'm like, that man, there's no way you're only 6 feet tall. Because when you go up to make a catch, I'm like, you are 6'4". Yes. But he's not. And he looks so much bigger until you like get real close on it. But
so
yeah. I think it could be. I think there could be some fun matchups within that game. But game of the week, Kansas City, Tennessee is probably the right way to go. But unless you guys have anything else.
I do not.
Nope.
All right. Well, make sure if you want to see the Stay Hot Locks, you tune in to our Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time live on the AMP app by Amazon. Go download the AMP app, search up Stay Hot, give us a follow there, and we will discuss the Stay Hot Locks, do our little Stay Hot Lock draft tomorrow. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flop.